A long time ago, in a small town in Tennessee, there was a boy born named Ben Hooper, but the people of the town didn't call him Ben, they called him Little Ben. In the day and time in which Little Ben was born, it was dishonorable to not know who your father was, and that was the case with Little Ben Hooper. He didn't know his father. He had a single mother, and he lived alone. And because of the way the town was and the culture was, Little Ben avoided social situations because he came to notice that people would give him hard glances and soft whispers whenever he would enter or leave a room. And so he avoided it. He stayed to himself. And later on in life, as he became an adult and his mother passed away, he had no friends. And so he really kept to himself. He didn't go into town. He didn't mix with people socially. He just was a loner. But he heard about a new preacher that had come to town and was preaching in the church. And people started to attend more than they had before, and he was curious. And so on one Sunday, he waited until church was well started, and he sneaked in the back door and sat down on the last pew. He noticed that time began to pass rather quickly, and he was more captivated by the preacher than he'd ever been captivated by any words anyone else had spoken, certainly in church. But right before the preacher ended, he sensed the service was about over, and he didn't want to be embarrassed or faced with those hard glances, and so he got up and he left before the end of the service. Week after week, he repeated this until finally one week, the preacher was preaching about Jesus, and he found himself so captivated and so riveted, he thought, this man's been reading my mail. How does he know this stuff about me? And before he knew it, an invitation was given, and the service was over, and the amen was spoken, and the congregation turned into a crowd that crowded in around him, and he could not avoid what he had so often before liked to avoid. He's in the middle of the crowd, no escape. What's he going to do? And suddenly, over the murmurings and the whispering and the glancing of all the people in the congregation, a single voice rang out. "Whose boy are you?" People were paralyzed. Time froze and the blood drained out of people's faces. It was like the thunder that falls after years of silent lightning. Everyone turned to see where the sound and who the sound was coming from, and lo and behold, it was the preacher. And as he approached Little Ben, he thundered again, "Whose boy are you?" He published the single thought that had been on every mind in that little Tennessee town for years. Who was the father of Little Ben? The preacher said loudly, "Oh, I know whose boy you are. The resemblance is unmistakable. You are a child of God." That's a pretty big name you've got to live up to. Little Ben says that it was on that day that he was elected and re-elected as the governor of the state of Tennessee. Because a believer's name reflects Jesus' character, and his character and our destiny are inseparable. Seacoast, whose boy, whose girl are you?